ABC Listen. Podcasts, radio, news, music and more.
Hi, I'm Patricia Carvelis, the host of Politics Now. That's the ABC's podcast covering the political news you need to know when you need to know it. Because politics affects us all. So join me and the ABC's best political journalists for your daily political fix. It's called Politics Now, and you can find it and follow it on the ABC Listen app.
Donald Trump says he's very unhappy about the way it went down. And it's clear he was given very little notice of an Israeli attack on the capital of a key US ally, Qatar. Today, Hussein Ibish from the Arab Gulf States Institute on the consequences of Israel's actions and whether the US president is going to do anything about it. I'm Sam Hawley on Gadigal land in Sydney. This is ABC News Daily.
It was a brazen attack in the middle of the afternoon. Israel says its target was Hamas. Its jets struck a building where some of the group's leaders were discussing a ceasefire proposal in Gaza.
Senior Hamas officials have been in Qatar for years, and the Gulf state has been acting as a mediator in the war in Gaza. Late on Tuesday afternoon, Israel launched an airstrike targeting Hamas's leadership, and while 5 officials were killed, the group says its most senior members survived the attack.
Hussein, the Israeli strike in the heart of Doha. It's hard to fathom, isn't it, why Israel would decide to do that and why its leader, Benjamin Netanyahu, would endorse it.
No, it's not. It's
okay.
Pretty easy to understand because Netanyahu wants the war to continue and he saw an opportunity to take revenge, he claims, for a shooting a really pretty bad shooting at a Jerusalem bus stop a few days ago, in which I believe 5 Israelis were killed, and Hamas took responsibility for that.
Benjamin Netanyahu says Israel endured a difficult day in its war on terror, with 2 men suspected of being Palestinians from the West Bank shooting multiple people on a bus.
And also today, Hamas operatives had killed 5 soldiers in combat in Gaza. And I think, for him, there's no downside to doing this. He's just taking revenge and keeping the war going.
Well, it was an afternoon attack in an area of the capital close to schools, it's close to embassies. There were civilians going about their daily activities in that vicinity.
Yeah, that's right. So in other words, again, it plays on Qatar's effort to be both a key ally of Washington and a good friend to Hamas. They knew that this was dangerous, but I don't think the Qataris ever imagined that the Israelis would attack and kill these people. It's not who they attacked and tried to kill. It's where they did it, when they did it, and how they did it. Qataris were under the impression and under the hopeful belief that the closeness with Washington that they've developed, thanks to hosting the Al Udeid Air Base, which is a massive installation that is the epicenter of U.S. military presence and power in the whole Middle East, and also was constructed for the United States by Qatar for free and given to the United States by Qatar for free. And, essentially Qatar is trying to buy American protection, buy the idea that no one's going to actually attack them because the Al Udeid Air Base is right there next to their capital. April Fool, Israel can and will. And I think it's clear that Washington was told sort of in advance in theory, but actually I believe they were told too late to stop it if they had wanted to. So I don't think they gave the Americans a chance to turn this around. Whether the Americans would have if they could have, I have no idea. It's probably 50-50. But the point is, I don't think the Israelis told the Americans in time for them to stop it. I think they told them with enough notice that the White House can say, oh, yes, we were told in advance.
Well, President Trump, he said the US military had informed his administration that Israel was attacking Hamas.
Mm-hmm.
But the Qatari Prime Minister, he said that the United States had not warned his government about the attack until 10 minutes after it had occurred.
The attack happened at 3:46 p.m. The first call we had from an American official was at 3:56 p.m. The Israeli attack that took place today on Qatari soil, we cannot call it anything other than state terrorism.
Exactly. I think the Israelis probably warned the Americans 10 minutes before, which is too late to do anything. And then the Americans warned the Qataris 10 minutes after. And so everyone has been so-called warned by their friends, but in fact, no one's been warned. And the whole thing has gone ahead. And the son of the chief Hamas negotiator is dead. A couple of other Hamas guys are dead. And a Qatari security official is dead.
Well, Donald Trump, he's been critical of this attack.
Sort of.
But we are not thrilled about the way that went down today. I'm never surprised by anything, especially when it comes to the Middle East. But I would tell you this, I was very unhappy about it, very unhappy about every aspect.
But Hussein, is he condemning it?
No, he's not. He's not exactly condemning it. He's issued a statement, and Carolyn Levitt, his press spokesman, issued a statement that was such gibberish. It kept convoluting back on itself between everything that sounded like acquiescence and praise and everything that sounded like caution and disapproval.
President Trump believes this unfortunate incident could serve as an opportunity for peace. The president also spoke to the Emir and Prime Minister of Qatar and thanked them for their support and friendship to our country. He assured them that such a thing will not happen again.
And the whole thing made no sense. It's quite predictable.
Well, Israel appeared to try and distance the United States from the attack by saying it was wholly an independent Israeli operation.
Israel acted wholly independently, and we take full responsibility for this action.
The US had nothing to do with it.
Well, absolutely, and I'm sure that's true, and the Israelis said that too. And what else are they going to say? There's no need for the United States to be involved. It's better if the Americans aren't involved. Both the Israelis and the Americans would want to say that, and the Qataris wouldn't want the Americans to have been involved either. And I'm sure the Americans weren't involved. I'm pretty sure, and the scuttlebutt in Washington has it, that the U.S. was informed before the attack, technically, but way too late to do anything about it.
Well, Hussein, just tell me, what message is it that Israel is trying to send by striking on territory of a US ally? Is it just willing to strike anywhere?
Well, I think those are two different questions. What message is Israel sending or intending to send? Well, they're intending to send the message that Hamas cannot be safe anywhere, and that if Hamas continues to do things like continue to fight the war, continue to attack Israelis at bus stops or Israeli soldiers, or continue even to exist, that they will be, especially their leaders, will be attacked and killed. And the message now is also that they're not going to be safe anywhere and under any circumstances, even in a U.S. ally where they've been invited to come for peace talks with Israel, indirect ones. I mean, that is pretty grim. It's sort of the Israelis wanting to show yet again that they can't be out crazied by Hamas, a terrorist group. And I think the message that Israel is sending, whether it wants to or not, I don't think they want to send this message, but the message they are sending to the region is that they are a rogue power that is now completely out of control. For the 20 years, especially the 15 or 10 years before the October 7th attacks, the perception in a lot of the Arab world, especially in the Gulf, is that Israel is very unjust and brutal towards Palestinians and often Lebanese too. But that on balance, Israel was a status quo power that was more a net contributor to security and stability in the region than a net provocateur. That's out the window now, because you've got the war in Gaza, you've got the constant escalation with Hezbollah, then you've got the Israelis ramping up violence in the West Bank. This January, 40,000 Palestinian civilians were displaced by the Israeli military in the northern West Bank for reasons that can't exactly be explained. I don't know why exactly. The Israelis haven't explained it. And you've got Israel's role in Syria, where they've said they are absolutely against any stable, centralized government in Syria, that Syria must be fragmented and unstable and decentralized. Now you've got this attack in Doha. The cumulative effect of that over the past less than 2 years is to turn Israel from a country that was generally seen by pro-American, Western-backed U.S. Arab forces as, in the end, on their side more than against them, to a rogue country that's running absolutely amok and out of control. Quite an accomplishment.
Well, Hussein, what does this all mean now for the future of these ceasefire talks and for the remaining hostages?
Well, the remaining hostages have been abandoned. That's clear enough. That's been clear for months. The ceasefire talks could continue if the U.S. could cajole Qatar to somehow start them up again, although the Qataris certainly would not want to be bombed again, and there's no basis for them to think they wouldn't be. So, I don't know how they're going to agree, but maybe they'll get the kind of assurances that satisfy them. I don't know. Otherwise, it's going to be very hard to restart the talks. But it sort of doesn't matter, because Netanyahu has made it very clear that he doesn't want the talks to succeed. He's walked away from them many times. And there are several times when Hamas has agreed to American and Egyptian and other plans that Israel had said it agreed to, and then the Israelis throw in a bunch of new demands, and the whole thing gets scuppered. Netanyahu does not want an agreement. He does not want this war to end. He does not want to leave Gaza, and he also does not want to allow the PLO and the PA, the moderate Palestinians who want to do a deal with Israel and who have recognized Israel, to have any kind of a role in Gaza. And so it's a very dangerous situation.
Okay. Well, many analysts, they have said that for there to be an end to the war in Gaza, Donald Trump, he needs to pressure Benjamin Netanyahu to stop this. So will he do that now?
No.
Why not?
Why would he? He's got no incentive to do that. He doesn't care enough about it. He wants the war to end, but he would have to put enormous pressure on Netanyahu, and he's not prepared to do it. The Israelis have proven he didn't want them to attack Iran when they did, but they went ahead and did it, and his reaction was, okay, well, we'll see what they can do. And then he went in and joined it and then stopped it. Then also, now I think he wouldn't have probably wanted this, but they went ahead and did it anyway, and he's not going to punish them for it.
So what's your prediction then, Hussein? When will the war in Gaza end and how?
I don't see any end to it in the foreseeable future. I think for the medium term, in the coming months, it goes on. Both Netanyahu and some factions in Hamas want the war to continue. Netanyahu wants the war to continue. Hamas would like the Israelis to agree to withdraw from Gaza so they can take over again. But the fighters within Hamas can live with the current situation insofar as they are killing Israeli soldiers a few a week. That's the beginning of what's likely to turn into an increasingly robust insurgency. And it's something that Hamas could benefit from. So I don't see them as agreeing to get rid of it either.
Hussein Ibish is a senior resident scholar from the Arab Gulf States Institute. This episode was produced by Jessica Wukyanov. Audio production by Sam Dunn. Our supervising producer is David Cody. I'm Sam Hawley. Thanks for listening.